Earthquake casualties climb as reports come in. Government allocates funding to districts hit by earthquake. And 3 men walk trail for TV network.
This is the National EMTV News with Mary Bertulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Monday's news. Provinces which are affected by the earthquake last Monday will continue to experience aftershocks. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill said while minor tremors will still be felt, the national government is finalizing arrangements to airlift relief supplies to affected communities. Close to 1 million people in over 5 districts remain affected.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister announced that the government has transferred 2 million kina each to the districts which were affected the most and 1 million kina each to districts least affected.
1 million kina to the most affected districts, so that district administrators and CEOs who are on the ground will coordinate the immediate relief efforts. They need the resources and money to do so. So when we are putting in Tari, Koroba and Kopiago and Pomo and Magarima, Mendi and Nipa, the most affected areas, 2 million kina each for those. And the other districts like Imbongo, Kagua, Yalbu, Pangia, Kandep, Pikori, Layagam and Telefomin and of course North Fly, we are putting 1 million kina each to each of these districts.
In giving an update on the recovery progress, the Prime Minister says sections of the Highlands Highway, which were covered by landslips, have been cleared with the help of the PNG Defence Force. Electricity supply is expected to be restored in Mendi town by 8 p.m. tonight. For telecommunication, 40 of the 63 digital towers which were affected by the earthquake has been restored. Last Friday, after a visit to the affected areas in the Highlands, the Prime Minister announced the temporary closure of 4 major revenue-earning projects in the country. This includes PNG LNG in Hela and the Octedi gold mine in Western.
We also have substantial damage to property. I want to say that it has affected the 3 or 4 major projects that we have in the country. Particularly the PNG LNG project is now shut down.
In today's conference, the Prime Minister estimates that the damages will cost PNG economy in the millions and will take 2 to 3 years to restore. So far, relief supplies have reached few of the affected communities with the help of the Australian Defence Force and the New Zealand Army.
Working closely with many of the donor agencies, and I want to thank in particular our friends in Australia, as I said, New Zealand. They are sending in supplies of medicine and food, which we are clearing immediately. Israel, China, Japan, and many of these organizations and countries are working closely with our team, and they are in constant daily briefings so that we can coordinate our relief efforts in an organized manner.
ExxonMobil has also announced $1 million in aid. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
According to information verified by EMTV crews on the ground, there are now 66 deaths in total since last Monday's 7.5 magnitude earthquake. As of yesterday, Southern Highlands reported 37 deaths, Western Province 13 and Hela 16. The death toll in Hela is expected to be higher as information from outer centers becomes available. As of late yesterday, 4 more bodies were recovered in Koroba.
Some of the worst affected areas in the Hela province are the hardest to get to, and it's been very difficult for medical teams to conduct proper assessments. Dr. Tana Kiak from the Tari Hospital led a team yesterday. They've certified 11 deaths so far in one location. They've also been spending the last 24 hours treating up to 78 patients with quake-related injuries.
Death certificates, also landslide bin karma bin molongem. So now we play itoksa along usem. By lugos bagat some the frequent chopper bakamin so mbla toksa along all can straight ma helipad lo backside.
This morning at Huya village, close to the epicenter, we saw about 2,000 people who had gathered at the makeshift care center. They have no food or water, and for the last 7 days, they've found it very difficult to get food from their gardens because of the ongoing aftershocks. 11 people died here.
So 11 blood and 5 blood or ayawod. Or 5 blood, 6 blood and Bobolwood. Now we let him out.
Another of our crews went to Kendele village in the Komo Magarima district. The destruction is also extensive. A family is still buried under this landslip. Villagers have little hope of finding their remains.
This
morning, more medical supplies were brought in by an oil search charter for the Tari hospital. Not many people here and in the rest of the country really know the extent of the damage, not just to the properties, but to the lives of people. The biggest frustration here is that help isn't coming as fast as it should from Port Moresby. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Tari.
A joint working committee for disaster and emergency relief has been formed. This team will focus on helping the disaster relief supply to provinces affected by the earthquake. The working group involves members of the National and Provincial Disaster Office, Australian Defence Force, the PNGDF, Ipili Pogra Investment, the PNG Red Cross, MAF and other non-government organizations. The donations coming in from other organizations for disaster relief will be packed and stored at the yard before being transported or airlifted to the care centres in Hela and Southern Highlands provinces this week. 2 PNGDF helicopters and an Australian Hercules C-130 are now on standby to provide air support to transport. On the back of the announcement of 16 million kina in disaster relief funding, Oil Search has also opened up their base in Moro to coordinate the distribution of relief supplies. Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten provided an update on the progress of their assistance today. In recent days, Moro has become the hub for the distribution of emergency relief supplies for affected communities, as it was one of the few airports not affected by the quake. Speaking to National MTV News today, Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten provided an update on Oil Search's efforts in providing relief to communities affected by the magnitude 7.5 earthquake. The Moro Airport was one of the very few aerodromes not affected by the quake, and it has now become a hub for the distribution of relief supplies.
We're right in the middle of where the earthquake happened. We're very close to the main population centres, and we're out there now receiving aid from various sources, aid that's purchased by ourselves and delivered tomorrow, but also from the Australian government and today from the New Zealand government. The Japanese government also want to send material up through Moro.
7 days on from the initial earthquake, Botten says momentum is now building in regards to the distribution of relief supplies to communities.
We're not alone. We're part of the community out there, and we were impacted as well. So it has taken some time just to understand what the impact has been. And it's taking, I think, the momentum building to have a broad coordinated response is building quite rapidly now.
Already, relief supplies have been delivered to around 7 communities around the Moro area today, with more communities in line to receive relief assistance in the coming days.
And today we're out there. I think we're doing 7 villages in the immediate area around Moro, where we'll be touching a population of somewhere between 8,000 and 9,000 people. And we're out there delivering food, materials, tarps, water containers, water, and so on. So as well as medical supplies, we've also delivered medical supplies yesterday and today to Tari, and that'll continue.
Oil Search is now also working with other organizations to deliver much-needed supplies and medical services to affected communities.
It was clear to us that to get early relief into those key areas, using those facilities and infrastructure and aircraft was very important, and doing it and liaising with the disaster committees, the central national government one, but also the Southern Highlands and Hela one, has been important, and that momentum, as I say, is building.
With increasing amounts of financial assistance being pledged to assist victims of the earthquake, Botten says there is also a need for organizations to be accountable for how these funds are spent.
We're certainly working with a number of parties. We're going to be, as we did over the weekend, we bought off our own bat a substantial amount of food supplies that we've delivered to the airport and then are now going up. We've also done other things such as tarps and living accommodation, blankets, etc. Obviously, there are a number of funds that people can donate to. We're happy to coordinate people's help and coordinate delivery of materials that they may acquire and help them get them into the field. I think we're all concerned if you're putting out a toya, you want to know that that toya is working for you and is used for maximum value. That's one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it, because every toya that we put into it, we're watching and making sure that value is delivered on the ground, because that's what it's there for.
Assisting in the delivery of relief supplies to communities remains the immediate focus of Oil Search. This from the Managing Director, Peter Botten. He said whilst there will need to be a review of the projections from its business over the next few months, they are focusing on how best to provide relief to communities, which remains their #1 priority. Oil Search operates the oil fields in southern Highlands province. Following the magnitude 7.5 earthquake last week, it has had to shut down operations and evacuate its non-essential staff from its project areas.
I think the good thing about the oil fields and what we're seeing to date is that a significant majority of the facilities can be progressively brought back on over the next few weeks, and it might take 1 to 2 weeks for Gobi, it might take 3 to 4 weeks for Kutubu, maybe a bit less, and a bit longer for Agogo and Moran.
Oil Search is also a partner in the PNG LNG project. Today, ExxonMobil PNG announced that it would take approximately 8 weeks to repair and restore damages to its facilities. Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten said their facilities had not suffered any critical damage but remained under observation as part of their safety procedures.
It will be that 8 weeks or so for LNG and obviously maybe a bit less for oil. And I'm pleased to say from our side that the oil production facilities and gas management facilities look to be not too badly damaged. Equally, I'm very pleased to say there's not been any leakage from any of our systems or processes that we've found to date, and it looks like everything is nice and safe and locked up in terms of gas and oil, so that's a positive.
In the immediate future, among the priorities will be the restoration of road links between the project area, which will also enable communities to be reachable, something which Botten says may take time but is critical.
But there is a lot of work to do, and again, opening up the supply routes to bring in, like for instance, we have to replace probably a significant number of flow lines from the wells into the main facility because of landslips and other things. So we need to have access to bulk transportation movements, and we think the Highlands Highway may be there, but certainly the road from Kopi to Kutubu is, we believe, is going to be one of the important routes to bring material in.
Here with Monday's news, we go for a break and be back with more on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The 7,000 delegates who will be coming for the APEC Leaders Summit in November will be accommodated on 3 cruise ships. APEC Minister Jasin Chichenko says the cruise ships have been secured and are expected to arrive in the country before November.
As minor meetings leading up to the first senior officials meeting on Wednesday winds down, the PNG APEC Authority continues its preparations for the APEC Leaders Summit in November.
These 2 cruise ships will be docked in Fairfax Harbour, and the other one will be docked down at Motokia. They'll be all supplied with water, sewerage, all the necessities and utilities that they require. Edorano's working with APEC Authority to make sure there's enough water, and all the requirements that the ship requires as well will be met.
While the safety and security of visiting leaders remain as the government's top priority, The government is ensuring that accommodation arrangements are also on schedule.
All the delegates will book online their rooms on those ships and pay for them and live on those ships as they require. So we're providing a service here for all the delegates to have that opportunity. This has been done before in Brunei and other countries as well when hosting APEC because of the accommodation shortage. And one thing we don't want to do, the government of Papua New Guinea...
APEC Minister Justin Chichenko has also confirmed that some of the leaders of the 21 APEC economies will be accommodated at the Hilton Hotel.
In guideline, that is the aim objective to have it open for business mid-September. So it'll be like an independent present to have that open ready for business. And a lot of the world leaders will be staying there, which will be confirmed, as well as delegates as well. So, and then from there, of course, you've got the great conference facilities. And
Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The National Capital District Commission today welcomed its new city manager, Bernard Kippit, today. Mr. Kippit takes over from former city manager of 11 years, Leslie Alu. Kippit says he will continue transforming the city with urbanization of settlements and a number of bans. Governor for NCD, Paul Sparkop, urged the new city manager to follow the laws in place and look at the little details of city management.
Bernard Kippit is no stranger to the City Hall. Kippit was the former city manager from 2000 to 2005, a civil engineer by profession, and at one point worked in the same NCDC engineering department as the outgoing NCDC city manager Leslie Alu. The new city manager plans on a number of changes in the city in the next coming months.
We are not living in a prison, and you guys know that, you know. I know I will get a lot of criticism, but please be mindful that we are APEC ready. Okay, we are APEC ready city. Number two, I will remove all color-bond fence along properties. Also, voluntarily replace the fence with approved ones. I will also seek approval for the board to ban the trade of spray cans in the city.
Governor Pakop officially handed over a copy of the NEC appointment copy to officiate the handover takeover ceremony today at the City Hall in front of NCDC staff. Governor Pakop told Bernard Kippit to follow the laws and look at little details.
The smaller picture, the basics, they're the building blocks for a greater city, a better future. We haven't got it right yet. And this is the challenge.
But with the celebration came sadness as the NCDC staff farewelled outgoing city manager Leslie Alu, who had left the position due to a minor stroke he had last year.
Mr. Alu, and thank you for the time, for the passion, for the commitment, for his service, and for his loyalty to me, to the commissioners, to you all the staff, and to our city.
11 years as city manager and 37 years as a public servant, Leslie Alu lives behind a Port Moresby city that has transformed into a metropolis.
The capital works process team and staff, forgive me your undivided support during my 11 years as CM.
Meanwhile, the new city manager says a number of bans in the city will be put in place in the next couple of weeks. This includes a spray paint ban. Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, in a recent news conference, NCD Governor Paul Sparkop said the recent betel nut ban in the city is mainly to keep the city clean. He said there is no problem with people chewing, but the rubbish that people create is a concern. He said the ban covers littering as well, and Boroko will be the first place to be cleaned up.
Governor Pakop said the filth and the rubbish involved in public chewing is a major concern. He said chewers and sellers must be mindful of their rubbish. He said retail and wholesale sites have been identified and will be announced. Marketing of betel nut in private premises will also be regulated.
Message should transcend to our people now. Miss here, you play just clean up. Emtasol, you kay boy, you go speed the right place. You Salim boy, you make sure up where you Salim boy long and clean. Suppose you work with him. I think by no issue. You may get a bike and you make him money, you enjoy boy city and move forward. Emtasol me like him.
Pakop stressed that littering in the city is also a problem. He said NCD is the face of the country and it should be clean and safe for everybody to live in. The ban exercise is going to start at Boroko and will carry on to other major centers in NCD soon after.
Morocco will be out of bound once we start, once we launch the program. We are going to do it in phase, like we have to put the rubbish bin out there, we have to put it in Morocco phase. Because we are not just addressing, and it's not just about litter ban, it's about cleaning up and beautifying the place. So we will be dealing with betel nut and also litter.
Pakop said security personnel engaged by APAC is not part of NCDC's security personnel. He added that sellers must also refrain from retaliation when their betel nut is confiscated.
Attacking innocent people is totally unacceptable in our city, and we won't tolerate it. So it's better they start moving out now than we come and chase them out.
Stacey Yallo, National, MTV News.
Public spaces in the National Capital District will be protected and developed by NCDC. NCD Governor Post Pakop said city residents need venues for recreational activities. As such, parks and open fields will be safeguarded for city residents.
NCDC's Physical Planning Division will be looking at protecting and developing all public spaces in the city.
It's the responsibility of municipal government to protect open space, all the recreational space and public reserve. Because these open space are critical for the well-being of the city. We cannot just come here and work and go to school and not enjoy life, not a place to recreate, recuperate and, relax our mind.
Pakop says this is so that city residents can enjoy their leisure time within the city. He also said private companies engaged in certain open space is not permanent. Pakop was referring to the field area at allotment 100 section 227 at Tokarara used by Kumul Training Institute.
I've counted the public space there at that particular part of Tokarara between Digakari Street and Rakatani Street. There are about 4 sort of a public place, so they still have a lot of public space there for the community there to utilize.
Pakop said the community at Tokarara has a right to complain, but they also have other fields within the suburb to conduct their activities.
I've told the school that you have to move out in 2 years. Even your infrastructure, we have to pull it down. Yeah, so, but for now, I think they've cleaned it up, which is good. They've made space for the community to use. They're building in their development some courts or facilities for the public to use. So at this time, it's a bit like a win-win situation at this time. It's not ideal, but I want to guarantee the residents there that within 2 years, after 2 years, we'll knock it down.
Stacey Yallo, National, MTV News.
Education Minister Nick Kuman has reiterated that the department's position on unregistered institutions that continue to exist will not have the graduates recognized by the department. Kuman said there are no unregistered institutions in the city that are still operating, but the department has no policy in place to penalize these institutions. However, parents have been warned to be careful. During the APEC Leaders Summit last week, the Education Minister openly stated that private education institutions operating under IPA have to follow procedures and not take advantage of loopholes in the system. He added that teachers or lecturers of these institutions must be members of the Teaching Service Commission as well. He urged parents and students to get information of schools and teachers properly before enrolling or their monies will be wasted. Women in Boira Village Central Province now have a central area where they can use to help them develop businesses in the SME sector. The Boira Women's Resource Centre was opened recently. This facility built with support from ExxonMobil PNG. The women of Boira Village in Central Province recently welcomed a new facility, a new resource centre. Built through support from the PNG LNG project, this facility is part of the company's efforts in improving the livelihoods of women in and around its project areas. According to PNG LNG plant manager Jagir Baxi, this support is indicative of the company's desire to empower women within project communities.
That to empower a woman is to empower her children, her family and her community. the smartest investment we can make is in women. And today is a real example of that.
The Resource Center is home to the DRE Tailoring Project, a success story from Boira, which aims to encourage more women to venture into SMEs. The center will also be used to support other community initiatives, which include financial literacy training for youth.
The Resource Center with available resources will be used as an incubation center to enable women to realize their potential to better their families and communities. A place where they can share each other's skills, experience, stories, and the training received is imparted to others and is sustainable.
And as in any investment, the sustainability of the Resource Center is a responsibility that women in Boira have been challenged to think about.
We have to market it out to all the people with a minimum fee, come and pay for it to be sustained. So that's the approach we Boira women must take. Everybody must embrace it, embrace the development opportunity that has come by.
You're watching National EMTV News. We go for a break and we'll be back with more after these messages. Don't go away. Welcome back to the news. This morning, 3 young men set off on a 5-day journey on the famous Kokoda Trail. The Kokoda Walkabout is a fundraising walkathon drive by the staff of PNG Christian Media Network TV to raise funds to purchase equipment and get the television station on air. Buna Treks and Tours will be accompanying the 3 men and leading this 5-day expedition.
The Christian Media Network Television has come to its final stage of its fundraising initiative, which is to send 3 of its staff to walk the Kokoda Trail, representing the soon-to-be-aired Christian television. These 3 men, accompanied by 5 guides from the Buna Trekkers and Tours, began their journey at O's Corner this morning.
We hope to raise about 2 million for CMN to purchase the equipment that we can be able to go on air, and that's one of our goals. So we believe that this trek, this walkabout, will trigger a lot of letters that we have sent out to companies and churches. And
Leon Suharupa, a first-timer to walk the trail, was motivated because this walk was for a life-changing cause. Joseph Sorariba, who has already experienced the trail, says that through this journey, the PNG CMN TV will be able to get the much-needed equipment.
History for the Papua New Guinea to have a Christian Media Network television. I also appeal to those who have received our letter, sponsorship request letter, to consider this as very important for the country.
Peter Bonga, trek master of Buna Trekkers and Tours, stated that it will be a muddy walk until their 3rd stop at Camp 1900 on Wednesday.
Experienced guys on this track, and we think that with this young gentleman from CNM who is joining us here, we'll be in a safe hands as we go along to Kokoda. It's a 5-day trek, and it's going to be a fast trek.
The team is expected to reach Camp Yuri Baiwa at 5:30 this afternoon. Lilian Superakinea, National EMTV News.
28 policemen out of 63 serving at the Lae Metropolitan Command left for Kimbe to attend the 10th Biannual Policewomen's Conference. They have been supported by Lae District, some business houses, the Australian Federal Police and family members. Among the policewomen, Chief Sergeant Maria Yoga, who joined the Royal PNG Constabulary with 5 other women in 1977.
These are the 28 police women of Lae Metropolitan Command who left on the weekend for Kimbe to attend a 5-day biannual Policewomen Conference starting on the 4th and ending 8th March. The team is headed by Lae's Metropolitan Superintendent Administration, Inspector Pauline Guru. Also attending is Senior Sergeant Samantha of the Australian Federal Police and Lae's Metropolitan Command Chief Sergeant Maria Ayuga, one of the first 6 pioneer police women who joined the Royal PNG Constabulary in 1977.
It's good to attend conferences like this to learn
new things and our difficulties and problems that we face in here. It's good to talk it over in the conference so that there may be some changes.
Chief Sergeant Ayuga's travel was funded by the Australian Federal Police, serving in Lae. Others were supported by Lae District, some business houses including Mapai Transport, KK Kingston, and support from family members. During the 9th conference in 2016, Ayuga was given the opportunity to choose the venue of the 10th Policewomen Conference.
Actually, I was given the opportunity to choose which province will be having it this year, and that was in Kimber. That was my choice.
Police women from around PNG are attending this 10th conference in Kimber to empower each other with the learning and experiences. Lae's Metropolitan Chief Superintendent Anthony Wagambi Jr. released the policewomen in Lae on Friday and thanked the Police Commissioner Gary Baki for reintroducing the event.
Police women play a very important and integral part in the community. This is a form of empowerment. We would like to see them being empowered and to be encouraged to take a leading role in policing in our communities.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Lae.
A man in Manus who is facing a sexual penetration charge has appeared before the Lorengau District Court. 34-year-old Salalau Ruben from Wenai village was accused of sexually penetrating his sister-in-law on the 26th of February this year. The alleged incident occurred at Wenai village in the Bupi Chupen Lelemadi LLG. Manus Police Commander Chief Inspector David Yapu says the accused is still in police custody. The Pilgrim Seventh-day Adventist Church in Lae has donated food, clothing and necessary items to the survivors of gender-based violence at a safe house in Lae. Members of the church, including children, gave the items to Family PNG, an NGO that attends to family and sexual violence cases in Lae and looks after survivors.
The church members of Pilgrim Seventh-day Adventist Church in Lae, including these children, brought in what they have from their gardens, homes and what they can afford to buy from shops to give to the affected mothers and children of family and sexual violence cases in Lae. This was the church's initiative since the church began in 2016.
People have been given for about 5 times already, and this one number 6th one. Thinking behind this giving Mipla is to help people who are in need. Mipla looks at the love of Jesus Christ. As a church, Mipla must play a part to give for God's glory.
The church is 1 year and 7 months old. It has more than 400 members attending.
Me and my family been making commitment to buy this ground, Papa ground, and then this land when our church is an program and 2 block of land. So we purchase with 4,000 kina, 2,000 for each block, and then we give me a church because God. People look savvy and bless people to plant something. Education, or if you work money, now plant something but you know not counting and counting. So this is our personal commitment with my family, my children. People are purchasing this land with 4,000 kina and then people are giving me a mission or church.
People are homos, the mission like giving people a Pilgrim Heritage Church. They've been with us now for 1 year, 6 months now, or 7 months now, so it's been a blessing to be part of them and they've been part of us.
The Pilgrim SDA Church believes that it is everyone's responsibility to help and assist the government and organizations such as Family PNG to help bring change in people's lives.
And this giving not for the good people in the country, but for those ones who will suffer through violences, might be through sexual or narrow abuses where also they have him. So we are making this plan of giving, but it will not be the last time. We will continue to give.
Family PNG is a local NGO that began operations in 2014.
The organization has assisted more than 1,400 survivors of family and sexual violence cases in Lae.
I hope that, by seeing this initiative, people would take up the initiative to support those in need rather than waiting on the government or outside donors, outside funding.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Lae.
Here with National MTV News. Up next, we'll have some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The SP Sports Awards nominations are still open for 12 categories. The People's Choice of the Year category gives the public the opportunity to vote on which finalist from the first 4 categories of their choice. The SP Sports Awards are for all sporting persons and bodies, and the decision of the award selection committee is final. Nominations can be submitted by anyone, including national sporting associations, coaches, administrators, athletes, and the public. The closing date for nominations is on the 12th of this month. To Rugby League, and the SPPNG Hunters will name their team tomorrow for the round 1 clash against the Ipswich Jets in the Interest Super Cup. The Hunters play their first match at the National Football Stadium.
The SPPNG Hunters kick off their 2018 season this Sunday at the National Football Stadium when they take on the Ipswich Jets. Coach Michael Maroon will be naming his team tomorrow after training at the NFS. The team has had a good pre-season training camp, which began in December last year. Though they had a rough start to the year with the untimely passing of teammate and friend Kato Watio, they have managed to pull through to complete preparations for the trial match against the Brisbane Broncos. The trial match showed positive signs of their preparations leading up to the season.
We just wait for the replay here.
This season will be one of their toughest, trying to defend their 2017 premiership. A team mostly made up of newbies will have a lot to prove during the season. Details of Hunters captain Asep Wa's recovery and if he will be part of this weekend's team will be made known tomorrow. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
The Papua New Guinea Rugby Football League has claimed that stories and reports in the Australian media and social media of a possible joint Cairns PNG NRL bid are false. Chairman Sandis Chaka said they are not aware of any proposal on a joint NRL bid with any city. He said the PNG RFL will advise of any PNG NRL bid plans in due course. Moving to netball now, the PNG Peppers team have received a boost after Townsville netball stars Sasarino Pedro and Maylin Nona were named in the squad. The pair are edging closer to taking their talents to the world stage. They have been named in Papua New Guinea's 20-woman squad ahead of the World Cup qualifiers in England. Pedro and Nona successfully passed the trials held last month at the Rita Flynn courts here in Port Moresby. We'll go for a break and be back with more of Trukai Sports on the other side. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The 2018 Eastern Highlands Secondary Schools Invitational Tournament saw the UIS Warriors girls team go through the tournament undefeated. 5 schools in the Eastern Highlands competed in this tournament that was held on Saturday at New Munoi Christian Academy in Goroka. The UIS Warriors dominated by easily winning 2 of the games to play in the finals against Baptist Bible College. Though going up against a more aggressive team, the Warriors were able to take control of the game, winning 4-1. Coach Siam Mai says the team did a lot of work on ball control, which helped them to dominate. They are looking forward to the Eastern Highlands Secondary School Sports Association tournament that will be hosted in Goroka this coming Friday. To cricket abroad now, and stunning behind the scenes have emerged from South Africa of the Australian vice-captain nearly coming to blows with their opponents. The tense scene followed a fiery 4th day of the opening test in Durban.
As players break for tea, tensions erupt inside the Durban Pavilion. David Warner is seen directing a verbal spray towards South African wicketkeeper batsman Quinton de Kock. He's first restrained by teammate Usman Khawaja before things get even more heated and Aussie captain Steve Smith is forced to hold his vice-captain back as Nathan Lyon also tries to keep the peace. In a statement, Cricket Australia says it's aware of an incident between players in Durban and is yet to establish the facts of what occurred. It stemmed from the earlier run-out of Proteas batsman A.B. de Villiers.
You wouldn't believe it. David Warner, superb. Isn't he pumped up?
Warner's celebration raised eyebrows, as did Lyon, dropping the ball onto a despairing de Villiers.
To have him run out for zero is, I think that gets everyone a little bit excited, and the boys were certainly pumped up to see him going back. There wasn't too much aggression, I wouldn't say.
South African great Graham Smith thought otherwise, calling Lyon's actions unnecessary while labelling Warner a bit of a fool. It all makes for an intriguing final day of the first test, with Australia needing 1 wicket for victory.
And that's it for Trukai Sports. We go for a break. When we come back, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
I'll look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Some showers expected in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma and Popondetta, mostly fine in Alatau. To the Mamasa region, cloudy weather expected in Ley and Wau, mostly fine for Medang, Wewak and Vanimore. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine for Lorengau, some showers expected in Kavieng, thundery showers in Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundia, Wapmendi and Wabeg, all these major centres can expect cloudy weather over the next 24 hours.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a news, sport and weather for today, Monday the 5th of March 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.